Welcome.
Thank you, Mike.
Hello, Tom. Hi. Please.
So your three organizations are lending your voices for this vision of the trillion trees. And not just for planting trees, but also very much for protecting trees. Why is protecting trees so important for biodiversity?
Well, thank you, Felix, for having us, and Mike, Your Serene Highness, all of the fantastic people who are here, including Your Holiness and Your Excellency. Conserving trees is much more than just conserving the trees that are standing there. It's conserving life. I mean, you talk about Wangari Maathai. His Serene Highness spoke about that this morning. It is about all of the fantastic network of organisms that live in that system, that help us maintain the planet cool, that help us provide water for people, that help us provide the oxygen that we're breathing, but also the nutrients that help our food grow. I mean, you guys saw some of the species that live in these amazing forests. And in addition to those utilitarian benefits that we benefit from, there are all these other elements when you go for tourism, when you sit down and just experience the wonderful feeling of being in the middle of a forest. The energy that you can actually drive is similar to the energy that you're driving from all of these young people. So there are all these fantastic stuff that is happening in forests that is not only about recovering and reforesting and afforesting and creating these forest spaces, but ensuring that we are protecting these spaces that will allow nature to thrive forever because we depend on it.
Wow. So this means that protecting forests is incredibly important. And I think this also means that when we do restore new forests, plant new forests, we have to pay a lot of attention as to how we do that and what species we plant. What should one pay attention to when planting new forests?
So we want to make sure that we are planting forests in the right places, because it's not, I mean, we want to engage everybody to plant 1 trillion trees, but when we actually plant them in the places where biodiversity is still there, we expand the capacity of the system to be resilient, especially now that we are living climate change, that we are seeing, you know, we saw the images of Hurricane Harvey before. When you're seeing, you know, I just came from the big, what was it? The beast of the east, as they call it, the snowstorm that we had in the UK last week. When you're having these very shocking events, what you need is a resilient nature. So having this reforestation happening in the places where nature is going to help us maintain the system a lot more stable and a lot more in balance.
So, Patricia, people also always have some sort of favorite. Yeah? What's the bird that you think really merits our big efforts?
So you saw a little bit of an image there, and you're going to see it a lot again in Tom's slides. I come from Ecuador, and I would favor my birds, of course. But I want to mention one specific right now that doesn't come from my region. It's actually an Asian bird. It's called the Casketed Hornbill. And it's this amazing bird that has this very big casque and is very, very threatened, not only because we're losing a lot of forest, but because now the ivory chase that has moved from chasing elephants is moving now onto hornbills. And hornbills are being poached right, left, and center everywhere to get this ivory from their casquettes being sold. So if I would have one, I would say the helmeted hornbill.
The helmeted hornbill.
Yes.
Okay. We saw it in the picture just now. Tom, you've got 3 projects that you're working on, right? Which is actually doing what we're talking about, getting new forest in place.
That's right. Yes. Thanks for the opportunity to tell the audience something about what we do.
Yeah.
Yes, the 3 organisations who are working together feel very strongly that it's very important to connect big, inspiring global visions to concrete, on-the-ground action in places where change is needed. And so we work in landscapes all around the world to try to do that. Yeah. There are 3 that I want to highlight today.
Okay. Could we have the slide?
The 3
Tom,
partners.
Please?
This is the first of my slides. Thank you.
Yeah.
3 around the world, which exemplify the kind of work we do, and which we are going to pledge to the Trillion Trees campaign. Yeah.
Where are they?
The 3 so they are in Indonesia, in Rwanda, and in Colombia. So next slide, please. First, give you a sense of the scope of what we do around the world. These are just a selection of the countries where we're working in the field. Next slide, please. So the first of the projects I'd like to highlight is in Colombia. Colombia has an extraordinary natural heritage and has one of the, there's only one other country in the world with more species. It's incredibly biodiverse. As Colombia comes into a period of peace and prosperity, it's important that action is taken now to create a space for nature, and the Colombian government has pledged to create 2.5 million hectares of new protected areas. WWF and WCS are working very actively with the Colombian government to help to design those areas, and also, importantly, to try to mobilize domestic and international finance so that those areas remain protected and well managed far into the future.
Okay, that's Colombia.
Second slide, please. Yes, Rwanda. In Rwanda, millions of people depend on healthy watersheds in the mountainous heart of the country, and they live alongside many of the rarest species of wildlife in Africa. WCS is working in a vast landscape on the rooftop of Africa, which supplies water to the Congo and Nile rivers. In this landscape, we're working with the government to try to encourage smallholder farmers, tea plantations, and many other people to try to protect the remaining fragments of forest in that landscape, and also to put trees back into the landscape wherever they can help to improve livelihoods. And in that way, we're hoping to plant the seeds of a new green economy for the uplands of Rwanda.
Right.
Third slide, please. Next, please. Yes. So
need
here
to
we
say
see the hornbills that Patricia was mentioning in the forests of Indonesia. This is a forest in the lowlands of Sumatra, one of the very last parts of that ecosystem to have survived the onslaught of clearance. BirdLife and their local partner organisations have been working very hard to conserve those forests for more than a decade. They started with a badly degraded and logged and damaged ecosystem, and they've been working to nurse it back to health, and in the process to enable wildlife and local livelihoods to thrive alongside one another, along with securing the future of tens of millions of trees. And that model is now being applied to other damaged forests all across Indonesia, spreading that message of hope more broadly.
So we saw the hornbills just now?
Yes, that's right.
When they fly, how big are they? That's their span?
That's their wingspan.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
and
so
and the bill?
The casket is about this size.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they poach that for ivory?
So they take the top.
They make an extraordinary whooshing noise. Yes, I'm sorry.
Sorry. Sorry, Tom. So they take the top part of the casket that is actually made of ivory for handicrafts, and exactly the same use from the
As they do
tusks
for
of the elephants.
Yeah.
But you have a big casket. So they're harvesting and poaching hundreds of and thousands of helmeted hornbills for the trade.
Yeah, right. Patricia, Tom, thank you very much for being with us. And you'll be around the rest of the afternoon. So they're available to talk to.